What's up guys, Andre here, and today I'd like to introduce you to a premium course I'm working on called Useful Laravel Packages. If you're interested, head over to usefullaravelpackages.com to sign up with your email and keep up with my progress. So as the title suggests, I'll be going over popular Laravel packages as well as practical examples for each of them. If you enjoy my content and would like to support me, definitely sign up. So releasing a premium course was one of my goals for this year, and hopefully with your support, I can accomplish that goal. So in this video, we'll build the landing page from scratch. Obviously it's already live, but we'll start from the beginning with this design and code it from scratch. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so here is the design I came up with in Sketch. Nothing too crazy, it's just a landing page, and the main point of this is to capture emails. So let's go ahead and build this out. So I'm going to be using Laravel because I eventually want to extend this to be my course platform. And obviously I'm going to be using Tailwind CSS because Tailwind is awesome. So I already have a Laravel app scaffolded out. Here's the code for it, but here it is here. I've already installed Tailwind. If you're interested in how to install Tailwind, just take a look at my other videos in Tailwind. But basically you just npm install it. You generate the Tailwind config, which is right here. And then you add a main CSS. And then you just configure your Webpack mix.js. And that's about it. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm just going to use the welcome page. And let's get rid of all of this. And I've already referenced the CSS here, but we'll get rid of all of this. Styles, all of these styles. And we don't need this. Cool. And I'm going to get rid of all of this in here. And let's just see if it works. Let's do class equals BG blue. And let's put some text in here. Okay, cool. So what's the first thing I want to do? Okay, let's start with the fonts. So let's go into our code, and I am going to paste a code snippet that just imports Google Fonts. Let me just replace this one actually. And the two fonts I'm using are Montserrat for the headings and Open Sans for the body. So let's configure that in our Tailwind config. Let's go to fonts. And right here, I'm going to put Open Sans. Open Sans. Save that. I do have my watcher running, in case you're curious. And let's go back here. And let's start. So I'm going to give the body a class of font sans. Let's anti-alias that. And let's give it a border top of 6. And that's going to be this over here. And I am going to make a new color called pink Laravel. So that doesn't exist yet, obviously. So let's go ahead and do that. So in our Tailwind, where's our colors? Okay, so let's just add one called pink Laravel. Pink Laravel. And let's make it whatever this color is. Okay, cool. Save that. Okay, so that doesn't work because we have to add a border width. Right now it's 6. 6 doesn't exist by default. So if you go into Tailwind, go to border widths, just add 6 here. Okay. There it is, cool. Okay, what's next? Okay, so now we want to do this section. So there's two columns, this one and this one. So I'm going to use Flexbox for that. Actually, let's start with this whole section. That's going to be a background of a light gray. And then we'll do the two columns. Okay, so let's remove this. Let's make a new div with a class of container. MX auto, sorry, no. BG gray lighter and text black. And just see how that looks. Okay. Now let's make a container. Center the container. And let's make a flexbox. So now if I have two divs in here, they should be next to each other in two columns. Okay, cool. Okay, so first one, let's give it a flex of 1. Let's give some padding on the top. Let's give it some margin on the right. And then here's where the heading goes. Let's make it really big. And let's go useful, Laravel Packages. Okay. Okay, let's make the other flex item here. Let's make a flex one as well. That should even it out. Okay. What's next? Next is this section over here. Okay, let's do that. Let's give this a padding first. Let's give this a padding as well, the paragraph. And I'm just going to paste in the copy here. Cool. See how that looks. All right, let's give it some more line height. So let's go letting loose. And let's compare it to design. This is 3 lines. That's fine. Let's give the entire container some padding on the left and right. So if we go into here, down to plugins, I think we can specify here. Yeah. Let's give it 2 rems. That should push it over a bit. Okay. What else? What's next? Let's do this now. Okay. Back to here. Let's make a div here. Let's make it bold. Let's also give it some margin. Coming soon. Subscribe for updates and free previews. All right. And we'll put a section in for the text box, but we'll work on that in a bit. Should be flex. Input goes here. Okay. Now let's work on the right side. So basically just the image. So I already have the image in my public folder here. I think it's here, public image. Yeah, it's macbook.svg. So just I can inline it if I wanted to, but it's kind of long, so I'm just gonna use it like an image. So I'm just gonna do image source equals image slash MacBook, and let's just say MacBook. See how that looks. Okay, I wanted to line up to the right side, so I am going to change this to flex and justify end. Okay. If you want to see what that did, that just aligned it to the right. Okay. And let's give it some padding. And some padding on the bottom. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Okay, now let's work on the subscribe. Let me zoom in here. The subscribe input. So let's do that right here. So input type equals email. Let's put a placeholder in here. Enter email address. Actually, this should be a form, and I did change it to a form eventually, but the project I'm referencing right now doesn't have it as a form, so I'll just leave it like this. Subscribe. Okay, let's see how this looks. Okay, so it's laid out correctly. We just have to add padding and make it look nice. Let's start with the button. So I'm gonna give it a flex 2, so it's not as big as the input box. Let's make it uppercase. BG pink, Laravel, text white. Let's make it rounded. Rounded right of none. Let's give it a padding and more padding, and let's make it semi-bold. Let's make it tracking wide. Okay, that's a lot of classes. I'm just referencing my other project, but let's see how that looks. Sorry, I meant for the rounded corners, I meant rounded left, none. You can barely see that, I know. Let me just zoom in here one knot. Sorry, not that. This. Okay. And let's also give it a subtle shadow. So just put shadow here. Okay. Okay, so now let's work on the input. All right. Let's make it flex 1, rounded, rounded right, none. Let's give it some padding. Let's give it a border. Let's give it on the right side, no border. Let's give it a shadow. And let's see how that looks. Okay, it looks pretty good. Let's take out this ugly blue outline. So let's just outline none. Okay. But we do want a focus color on it, a focus ring on it. So let's do focus border pink Laravel. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, so is there even a margin on this? Yeah, there is. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. So let's move on to the next section here. Okay, so it should be right after this section. So right here, let's move this up. Let's make a new class called, let's call it the problem, which is just going to be the entire section here. And within that, yeah, so I'm using this because I need, if you look at the design, there's a subtle background, which I will add later on. So just make a container here. Actually, I'm going to make a container inner, which I will add some padding there. And let me just show you what I want for the container inner. So right now it's spanning the whole width. If you look at the design, zoom out, this is the entire container, but this is much slimmer, and all the way down it's much slimmer until we get back to the footer. So that's what container inner is. So let's go ahead and make that in our main CSS. And let's just put it underneath here. So container inner max width, let's give it 800 pixels. And let's give it some padding. And on the right as well. Cool. See if that works. And that is looking nice. Cool. Oh yeah, one thing I noticed is this should be the other font. So let's go ahead and change that. So I'm going to add another class here called heading font. Heading font. And I am going to do font family. The other font I'm using is Montserrat Sans Serif. And in here, I can just use that. So font heading. Sorry, heading font. Heading font. So there you go. Okay, so back to our design. Let's take care of this heading over here. Let's go back here and back down here. Cool. Let's make a new H2. Let's center that and see what that gives us. Just show me a basic example. Okay, it looks pretty good. That should be the new font, the heading font, I mean. Heading font. Let's make it a bit bigger and let's give it a margin. Okay, looks pretty good. What's next? Next is this paragraph over here. Okay. So it's just going to be a paragraph tag. It's going to be letting loose. It's going to be a bit larger. And just see how this looks. Let's say 30. Okay, it looks pretty good. So I'm just going to paste in the text here. And also there's strong tags for these bolded words. So I'm just going to paste that in to save some time. Okay, so I just pasted that in. See how that looks. Okay, it looks pretty good. What is next? Next is this list of things that you will get when you take this awesome course. So let's go ahead and work on that. So after the p tag, let's start. Actually, first is this what you will get. And that's font bold. It's a heading font as well. Let's make it a bit larger. And let's add some margin. What you will get. Okay, now let's make the unordered list. And let's reset the bullets on that. Let's make it a bit bigger. And let's set the letting to normal. Okay, see that? Well, nothing's gonna render there. I have to add some list items in here. So there are 4. Let's try 4. I should have added classes. Class equals. Actually, let me just add some text in here. 5, 8, 6. Okay. Okay, so that looks pretty good, but we have this check icon that we want for each list item. And we can add that in if we wanted to, just in each list item. But the more efficient way to do that would be to add it as a background image for each list item. So I'm going to give each one a class of checklist. And let's define that in main CSS. So let's just do right here, li.checklist. Let's give it a padding left of 2 rems, padding bottom 1.5 rems. And here is where we can add the background image. So background image, URL, and again, I already have this, so it's just, I don't need the quotes. Image checkmark.svg, and then background repeat, no repeat, background size 1.25 rems, and background position left 0.3125 rems. Okay, let's see if this works. And there we go, looks pretty good. So again, I'm just going to paste in the appropriate text so you don't have to watch me do that. Okay, so I pasted that in. Let's see how that looks. And it's looking pretty good. Okay, what is next? Next is this. Actually, no, we need the background image. So again, I have that in my files already, so we can just add it. We can do it 2 ways. We can put it in the CSS. I have a class around it, the entire section already. So we can just put it in here. But what I like to do is just put it inline here. So just do style equals background image URL / image / pattern, I believe it's called, JPEG, and that should do it. And yeah, there it is. It's a very subtle, I think it's called a seamless pattern, which makes it stand out just a little bit more. Okay, cool. What's next? Okay, let's work on this FAQ section. So after here, we can close this. Just close this. And the problem. And let's start the new one for FAQs. So .faq. Let's also make it BG gray lighter. Let's just see if that works. And it does, I think. Okay, let's continue. Let's make it container inner MX auto and some padding. Now let's give it some lorem text. Okay, so that's better. That's gray, right? No, it's still white. Why is it white? Oops, BG gray lighter. There you go. Okay. Okay, let's start with the heading. Let's give it an H2. Let's center it. Let's give it the heading font. Let's make it bigger. And let's give it some margin and frequently asked questions. Cool, looks good. What's next? It's just the actual FAQs. So for FAQs, I like to use this definition list tag, which makes it very semantic. You can use divs if you want, but I have used this definition list. So let's just do letting loose text large. And it's in just groups of DTs. Class equals font bold. Let's give it a margin. And this will be the FAQ, the actual question. When will it be released? And then DD, let's give it margin bottom, is the answer. As soon as I finish it, let's put some alarm text in here. I'll paste in the real stuff eventually. I just want to see how this looks. Okay, it looks pretty good. So yeah, I'm just gonna do the same for the rest of them. I mean, let's just see how it looks with 2 other questions. And it looks pretty good. So yeah, I'll just paste in the actual content. Okay, so that's pasted in. See how that looks. And it looks pretty good. Cool. What is next? Next is this About Me section. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, back to our code. Where does this FAQ end? Ends right here. And FAQ, next section is About Me. Let's do About Me. Just end it now. And let's give it a container, MX Auto, POI 12. And this is going to be, sorry, I'm just going to make use of Flexbox and just make them next to each other horizontally. And obviously this one will be smaller. So let's make a container for the flex. Make it items center so they line vertically. And the first flex item is going to be the image of myself. So again, it's I already have it in here. It's just dre.jpg. And say avatar. All right, see if that works. Cool, very large image of myself. Let's make it smaller. Let's give it a width of 64. And let's make it a circle. See that works. Cool. That looks pretty good. All right. Next is the information about me. I'm going to make it a div. Let's give it some margin. Let's make it larger text. And let's give it some leading. And there's going to be an H2 in there. And we're making that heading font, text 3XL, and margin bottom of 4. Let's just say about me. And here, let's give it a margin bottom. Let's just put some text in here, say 40. And see how that looks. It looks pretty good. So yeah, I'm just going to paste in. I'll just leave it. Okay, what's next? Yeah, you can, obviously the real website's going to have the real content, but I just want to complete this and work on the footer. Okay, let's go back here. Let's go here. Let's make a new footer tag. And let's give it a class of BG Blue Darkest. It's going to be white text. And the text is going to be slightly smaller. And I'm going to use Flexbox again, so I can just justify the content space between. So this goes to the left, and these icons go to the right. And this is going to be a flex container as well. So let's do container. Let's do MX Auto. Put some padding. And let's make it Flexbox and justify between. So now, Laravel 10, there should be, let's just make sure that they go on the left and the right, and they do. Cool. So the first section is just going to have copyright 2018 by me. Okay. Cool. And this will be the social icons. So yeah, this is going to be a flex container as well. So let's do flex. And I do want to justify between, but I need to give it a specific width so they're not too far apart. So I think I set it to 80, which is a custom length. So if we go into our Tailwind config, let's look for widths. No, not that. Okay, so 80 would be after this, and 80 would be 20 rems. So let's do 20. Save that. And let's see if they should be links. So let's make 4 links. And let's see, just see if this works. A, B, C, D. Okay, so it does work. And we'll replace these with SVG icons. So I'm just going to do one of them. And obviously the final product has the real icons, but it's just, yeah, let me just actually, let's do all of them, but we'll use the same icon. Paste that in, see if that works. And it does, cool. Okay, now let's quickly make it responsive. So let's do a quick test to see how it looks on smaller screens. So yeah, so we have to fix this. And this area is not bad. And we got to fix this. And we got to fix this. Okay, cool. So let's start with this section over here. Actually, let me just do this. Okay, so let's work on that laptop image. Let's stack it. So right here is the container for it. And I just want to specify it to be flex call by default. And then when we hit a large breakpoint, make it flex row. So that should push it down. So there's the image there, cool. For this, there is a margin right on it. So let's just make it margin right on large screens. Cool. And let's just fix the line height on this. Let's just put letting normal. Okay. And we can stack this input box as well. So right here, this is the container for the text box. Let's just do flex call, same thing we did above. And in this case, I'm just gonna make it flex row on this breakpoint. And yeah, let's give this text box some padding. I think I forgot to do that. Okay, it looks good. And yeah, let's just check if it still looks okay on desktop. And everything still looks good, cool. Okay, now let's work on the next section. All of this looks good. And it's just this section about me. So same thing, let's just look for that section about me. And right here, let's do the same thing. Flex call by default. And after large, it's flex row. Okay. And there's some margin here. Let's just make that margin appear on large screens. Cool. And that looks pretty good. You can put a margin here if you like, but I'll just leave it. And let's fix this as well. So for the copyright, it is this one. So let's do the same thing. Flex call, large flex row. Okay, see if that stacks. And it does. Let's just give this some margin bottom. So let's give it some margin bottom 8, and on large, nothing. Okay, that looks pretty good. And now everything is responsive. Let's double check to make sure. Oops. Make sure this still works. And it does. Cool. So there you have it, guys. We've built out the landing page for my first online course. One thing I feel like I'm missing out on is testimonials. So if you want to help me out, please leave a comment as a testimonial. Just a short 1 to 2 sentence testimonial about how you've learned from any of my content or any of my videos. So yeah, I'm very excited to be able to work on my first online course. And now that it's public, I feel like I'm accountable and motivated to complete it. Again, please sign up with your email address if you're interested, and I'll keep you up to date with my entire process. I'm also eventually going to need some help testing out my platform when it comes closer to launching, so maybe some of you guys can help me out there too. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Okay, thanks. Bye.